I was going to go ahead and type this out, but it's just I'm just exhausted right now. I'm really fatigued. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a short video. But I was meant to see something else in Jesus' name, that ties in with this whole testimony that I'm giving about this, being used, as a guardsman and the reservists that served with me, as we were used as oblivious test subjects to what was a secret virus program. But it's like, okay, I went to Fort Pickett. When I got back to my, unit, I was in my home unit. We went on our 2-week, active exercise at Fort Pickett. That was when we went to Fort Pickett. And I can tell you, it's like, you're hearing this about this secret virus program, but check this out, how insidious this is. We were at an area there in Fort Pickett. Now this is really something, where they had dumped in a bunch of ticks into the area, and they were testing to see how good of a vector they would be, to spread, a pathogen. How did I arrive at that, at that conclusion? When we were there at Fort Pickett, we were split up into buddies, like, assigned a buddy, and instructed, as we were given this bottle of, this plain bottle of insect repellent. It was nothing special. I know that now. It wasn't, that's what they said that this was all about, this bottle of this insect repellent. Because they told us as buddies, we were instructed to strip down naked every hour and count how many ticks were on each other, and keep track of how many ticks, that we had on us. And they told us that we were doing this to test this insect repellent. But what it actually was that they dumped in what I believe is that they dumped in, ticks that they had propagated, that they had cultivated, whatever you want to call it. They'd grown somewhere, and they dumped them into the area, and they were testing a certain tick as a vector, because you can infect them with the bacterium or whatever pathogen, I don't know. And dump them in, put them into an area where there's going to be, like, imagine enemy troops, getting those ticks on them that are infected with a pathogen. And, it's like these matters of biological warfare. A retrovirus, modifying a retrovirus for use, as a weaponizing, is, retroviruses, that then are flagged, having a relationship to, known pathogens, retroviruses, because they're made from, they didn't come out of nowhere, isn't like, the human being, a man can create, something living from nothing, cannot do it. So it's a perversion of what, God has put in place for the mystery, of creation. It serves a purpose, that maybe we just can't wrap our mind around, but it's true. But that's what they're working from something. So it'll be flagged as in a family of some retrovirus, some pathogen, later. But initially, they're engineered so, the way that I was sick, it was so bad, when we first were given the injections, in a separate shot line at Fort Jackson, guardsmen and reservists. Initially, we were so sick it was a debilitating manifestation, meaning you could barely do anything. So, our training, it really hampered our training. And so, I was I was 17, 17 years old. Then I turned 18 going through basic. And when I graduated, I mean, like the tests that we went through, physical, you go through, like you have to do a run and push-ups, sit-ups, and what have you, you know what I mean? And I was, where I was going, my unit, I was the guide on. I was in great shape. I was in great shape, and I barely made it through training, and so it was debilitating. So the initial thing with this engineered pathogen is it debilitated, and then when it bonded. It's like a really a feature of this is it bonded with the host, and then is flagged as a retrovirus, and the manifestation of it throughout the years, 40 years, of time, has been that, when it's come back, I've recognized it right away. I'm like, shit, like anytime that my immune system would take a hard hit for some reason, there's a lot of reasons your immune system can take a hit, then it would raise its head and come back like really bad. And sometimes it was, because there were a lot of times I didn't have my wife and I, when I got married again, out of, because I was married when I was in the Air Force, and then I got married, and I've been with this woman now, blessed with her for over 30 years, as a partner, as a wife, as a lover, as a friend. She's everything, and blessed with her. But she never had it. She never got this from me. So it's something that bonds with the host, which is really something. Not a contagion with it. So it's never been that way. Like anyone could catch this from me. It's something that was engineered so it bonds with the host. So then you could, use this whole thing. Like I say, it's multi-fold, multi-layered. What the uses of it could be. Because initially it could be used, to debilitate an enemy, in the field, like that, or however you would, it would be, however it would be, whatever imaginative way that they could infect, the enemy with it, But I spoke specifically to this, this tick, and that they were experimenting to see, a particular vector, but it could be spread a lot of ways. But ticks, that's a pretty natural way of doing it. Natural to, introduce something so unnatural. But anyway, yeah.